is Superior Sports Talk with Reggie Wilson and Luke Inman, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Back in the lab, Reggie and Luke back at it. Another episode, Superior Sports Talk, presented by Locked On Sports Minnesota. I got KARL-Evan's very own Reggie Wilson with me, so life is good. Thursday, Reg, almost there.
Oh, yeah, man. We got Twins winner yesterday. We got the Aurora winning yesterday. We're speaking in existence a Lynx win. You know, just good vibes, you know?
We got a fun show lined up. We're talking about the top wide receivers in the NFL and where Justin Jefferson ranks on the list. Plus, talking some Twins and a dramatic finish that had Target Field rocking yesterday afternoon. Later, putting Reggie on the hot seat with what does it mean. All coming up on Superior Sports Talk. Remember, follow along on Locked On Minnesota YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. And on Twitter, smash that follow button at Locked On MIN. To football we go. 61 days until week 1 of the NFL season kicks off. ESPN's latest article ranks the 10 best receivers in football. Now, Reggie, we've gone through the running backs, did the defense. We even broke down Kirk Cousins and the quarterbacks yesterday. We're on to wideouts today. 50 NFL scouts, coaches, and front office members. They huddled up, made their rankings, and Justin Jefferson landed 4th on the list, just behind, in order, Davante Adams 1, Cooper Kupp 2, and Ja'Marr Chase 3 after just one season. 3rd best wideout in football. JJ was ahead of guys like Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and DeAndre Hopkins. We know what Jefferson has done. All the records broke. Over 3,000 yards, most of any wideout in his first 2 seasons in NFL history, etc., etc., etc. Thoughts on him ranking 4th on the list? And when you just step back and look at this guy, just how truly special can he be? What's he bring to the table that makes him so elite?
You know, as Michael Jordan said, the ceiling is the roof. No, I'm just kidding. No, but, you know, it's great to see Justin Jefferson get this respect. What's interesting is, you know, with this ranking, you were just like, well, okay, if he's the number 4, you know, wideout in the league, how come he couldn't get first team All-Pro last season?
No kidding.
You know, like, what's the deal with that? And what's interesting is you know, he went to college with Ja'Marr Chase, and they got Ja'Marr Chase ranked ahead of him after only 1 year. And it's just like, look, I understand, you know, you may think that Ja'Marr Chase's skills are superior in some way, but the body of work there would tend to give JJ the benefit of the doubt in my mind. I would put him at number 3 behind Kupp and behind Davante Adams because, you know, if you're asking me to pick like in a vacuum and you're just like, all right, pick Chase or Jefferson, I'm going to go Jefferson just because he's been the more productive receiver and he has a little bit more of a body of work in the league. We don't know how Ja'Marr Chase is going to do in his second season. We would think that maybe he'll just continue to, you know, do what he does. But it's just funny, like, talking about Ja'Marr Chase going into last season. I was in Cincinnati. I was there, you know, at training camps and, you know, all those practices where Ja'Marr Chase couldn't catch a thing. It was like he was dropping everything.
That? Yeah, and he was dropping balls left and right. Yeah, remember that?
And then all of a sudden, once the season started, it was just like, whoa, where did this come from? It was just like he figured it out and he was all good. And so, look, give him a little bit more of time, a little bit more of a body of work, and then come at me after that. But for my money, I'm taking JJ just because the numbers that he put up last season, 168 targets, 108 catches, 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns. That number could have been even more when you consider his usage. You know, 168 targets, I mean, that's not bad. But, I mean, you look at how they use Cooper Kupp in Los Angeles, and the Vikings could have very well used Justin Jefferson in the same way last season, which means, you know, he probably could have been competing with Kupp for those Triple Crown numbers. And so I just think he's going to unlock a whole new level, which is kind of crazy to believe because he's already like up there. But I just, some of these scouts, having some type of a knock on him or whatever the case may be, like, I don't think it's valid. I don't think it's fair to put any type of knock on. He's still super young. He's super talented, super productive. It just seems like whenever they threw him the ball, somehow he always found separation. He was open. And there's just something to be said about guys like that. He is one of the best wide receivers in the league. And this list is telling because you got him ahead of guys like Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, as you mentioned, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, who is probably a first ballot Hall of Famer when his career is all said and done. But you still, Deebo Samuel, he beat out Justin Jefferson for first team All-Pro last season, but they got him at 9 on this list. Yeah. So you got to respect it.
Here's what scouts and coaches had to say about him. He wants to be the best in the game, and you can feel that, an AFC coach said. He'll get a gazillion targets in that new Vikings offense. Yep. He's not a burner, but he's got everything else. Instincts, competitive, great route runner, can win at all levels of the field. First of all, he's not a burner. He ran a 4.43. What are we talking about? Anyways, we'll save that for later. Reggie, the Vikes force-fed this dude the ball last season, according to Next Gen Stats, with 28.9% of Minnesota's targets. That was the third most in the NFL, and that was with Adam Thielen playing next to him. He also had 2,060 air yards, which was 45.2% of the team's total output. That's 3% higher than any other player in the league, including Cooper Kupp. And that was in a Mike Zimmer, Clint Kubiak conservative offense. The expectations of him now under Kevin O'Connell is downright, just wild to think about, right? Is it fair to think that he could not only match Cooper Kupp's resume, or dare I even say, could JJ be even better than Cooper Kupp when it comes to his statistical output with KOC calling the shots? What do you think?
Look, God bless Cooper Kupp. Okay, like, much respect to my guy. I respect this game tremendously. He's torn an ACL and come back and led the league in receiving, Triple Crown winner, all that. But I think from top to bottom, Justin Jefferson is a better receiver. I just think his skills are far superior to Cooper Kupp's. Cooper Kupp is very savvy. He's very shifty. He has a knack of getting open. He's a really, really good route runner. But when you talk about Justin Jefferson, you talking about like what Kupp does times 2, because I feel like Justin Jefferson is the more explosive receiver. And so I think if this offense is going to feature him in the way that we kind of see it, in the way that, the offense in Los Angeles featured Kupp, I could see a scenario where Jefferson not only leads the league in receiving, but has a chance to top what Kupp did even last year, which is kind of crazy to believe, because I feel like at times it felt like the Rams only had Cooper Kupp, and it was just like, all right, that's fine. I know we got OBJ, we got Van Jefferson, but we're throwing the Kupp though. And then Kupp is like, oh yeah, you're throwing it to me. Oh, I'm going to catch it because that's just what I do. And so I just think, if they decide to employ that same approach for Justin Jefferson, I could see him really ballooning the numbers and really just taking this offense to even that next level.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp, crafty, an unbelievable, precise route runner. But you know what JJ's got on him is the catch radius. His arms hang down to his kneecaps. He's got one of the best and biggest catch radiuses for a dude that's 6'1.5", 6'2". He's a guy that Kirk Cousins can just throw it up into a spot, throw him open, throw it into a window, and Justin Jefferson can go up and get it. That's something that just Cooper Kupp and a lot of other receivers they can't do. They don't have it, and it's something that you just can't teach, and that's what's pretty fun. Here's what I thought was really interesting about the list. You've got the top 10, then the 7 honorable mentions for a total of 17 guys. So here's the best 17 wide receivers in the NFL. And of that group, best of the best, guess how many of them were drafted in the first round?
How many?
7. Only
Wow.
7 of them. In fact, when you look at just the top 10 alone, only 4 of the top 10 were drafted in the first round. Chase, JJ, Hopkins, Mike Evans. That tells me, out of all the positions you can find late gems in the draft, some diamonds in the rough. Kupp, 3rd round. Diggs, 5th round. Tyreek, 5th round. Keenan, McLaurin, Godwin, all 3rd round. A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Debo, DK Metcalf, all 2nd round. If I'm a GM, I'm taking this list, I'm going to the Xerox machine, I'm making 2 million copies, and I'm posting it all over my war room saying, find me guys with high upside and physical traits that we can find on day 2 and start targeting them. And I'm using all my first-round picks on premium positions, pass rushers, cornerbacks, offense and defensive linemen all day. Just thought that was really interesting because when you looked at these other lists, it seems like you usually get what you pay for. A lot of those guys are drafted very early, top 40, top 50 picks. A lot of them first-round guys, but here in wide receiver, only 7 of the top 17 guys drafted in the first round. Last one as we wrap up, how about the Vikings wide receiver core just as a whole? We know they've got the blue chip superstar in JJ. We know they got the crafty vet in Thielen. Osborne, drafted in the 5th round, by the way. Looks the part, great number 3 wide receiver. Then you just got a grab bag of names all fighting for those last 2 or 3 spots on the roster. Albert Wilson, B.C. Johnson, Amir Smith-Marset, Jalen Naylor, the rookie. We know PFF ranked this unit like 15th in the league, which was pretty wild. How do you think fans should view this group as a whole, and what's their ceiling? Like, how good could they be under Kevin O'Connell in 2022?
I think when KOC got here, he was like, oh, I think I see a roster. I think I see a group of wide receivers that is similar to the ones that I had when I left. You know, you look at Justin Jefferson. You know, we talked about Cooper Kupp. You look at Van Jefferson. You know, maybe he's comparable to a KJ Osborne, if you will. You look at Adam Thielen. You know, give or take him with like an OBJ or something like that. I know they're not the same guy, but, you know, you kind of have some groups that remind you of one another when you come over from Los Angeles to Minnesota.
Similarities. For
yeah,
sure.
there's some similarities there where you're just like, okay, like I can see it. And, you know, in action, you know, for Thielen, Smith-Marset showed some flashes last season. And then, you know, you're going to get B.C. Johnson back from injury. And all accounts, you know, I wasn't here last year for training camp, but before he did get hurt, I heard he was just like tearing it up. And fans were really excited that he could possibly be wide receiver 3. And then he got hurt, and then KJ Osborne emerged. And, you know, the rest is, as they say, history. And so,
do you know how much heat I took on Twitter when I said, hey, don't forget about B.C. Johnson. He was like cemented as the wide receiver 3 before he went down. And I was like, cemented as the wide receiver 3? I was like, yeah, man, go back. Watch the tape, man. Watch the games. He was Kirk Cousins' favorite option underneath when both guys on the outside were covered. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to vent a little bit.
No, for sure. And I think that also gives Kevin O'Connell some like flexibility there as well, where he's just like, you know, like I said, last season was the most frustrating thing to watch, seeing them get in all these long and distant situation after situation, and you're just like, oh my gosh, here we go. 4, you know, but you got some guys that maybe on first or second down can cut across the middle. You know, what we saw last season and why we didn't see the production of the offense go even greater is because they got stuck behind the chains too much.
Right.
And now you see this wide receiver group and you're just like, dude, there's no reason, you know, add Dalvin Cook and Madison and Kane up in there, and you're just like, there's no reason why this group shouldn't be, you know, moving the chains each and every drive. Like, there should be no reason why these drives stall. And so that's something that I want to see more of next season. This should be a team scoring, you know, 30-plus points a game, every game, because of the production and the level of skill and talent that they have on the offensive side of the football. It's funny, looking at this list, you know, Adam Thielen was in here as receiving votes. And that was cool because of the games that he missed. But it's just like they got Michael Thomas on here as honorable mention, and he did not play
last year,
last season.
Yeah,
he did not play at all last.
I don't get it, man.
Season.
I don't get it.
So he made it over guys like Thielen, Lockett. I mean, I would put T. Higgins in honorable mention before I put Michael Thomas on there.
I would put Lockett in there as well.
Those guys deserve to be there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
and
absolutely.
Thielen scored 10 touchdowns last season in limited action because of that ankle injury that caused him to miss the latter part of the season. And so, I think it's hard when you try to nail down these top 10 lists, but I think having Justin Jefferson on there in the top 5 and then having Thielen be mentioned in the mix, that says a lot about where they are as a receiver group. And I think that gives the fans and this coaching staff some excitement going into this season. I'm just looking forward to seeing how they really utilize these guys.
Those guys want that Super Bowl jewelry this year, and you can get your jewelry with Blue Nile. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. Use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Yeah, just pretty cool to see these rankings. Get some healthy debate going. We want to hear from you. Go comment on the YouTube channel. Let us know what you think. 61 days until week 1 of the NFL season. Vikes training camp less than 2 weeks away. Until then, Reggie and I got you covered every step of the way. To baseball we go, and your Minnesota Twins with a walk-off winner yesterday, bottom of the ninth, tied up 1 apiece. Jose Miranda with 2 runners on versus one of the best closers in baseball. Jacks a bomb shot, deep left field for the walk-off winner. Target field on their feet. Prince was blaring. Stand up and shout. Minnesota Twins 2022 World Series champs were coming. Okay, maybe not, but still. Anytime you get a walk-off like that's just fun to see. Jose Miranda, by the way, just on a tear right now. To Twitter we go. Aaron Gleeman, the geek. Jose Miranda's last 40 games, 331 average, 576 slugging, 7 bombs, 10 doubles, 29 ribbies. Pretty dang close to his stat line between AA and AAA last season, which earned him Minnesota Twins Minor League Player of the Year. Reggie, quick thoughts on the game yesterday, and just how nice is it to have someone else in the lineup, not named Buxton, Correa, or Arise, be the hero and step up in the clutch?
That's what we talk about with this Twins team, man. Like, they have guys who can contribute all up and down the lineup on any given day. We've seen guys like Larnach, Kepler, Gordon be the hero. And
Kirilloff.
I think, Kirilloff is coming into his own as well. Like, this team has some talent, man. And it's exciting to see them kind of reach their potential and kind of realize, okay, I'm a good hitter. I think
I could do this.
That works, yeah. And, Miranda had a terrible time before he got sent down to AAA. And as soon as he got brought back up, it was just like he was hungry. Like, it lit a fire under him or something like that because he's just been tearing it up. And so, look, he hit one of the best relievers in baseball last night. Like, that was not an easy thing to do. Hader is an all-star, he's a guy that, at times he's come into the game and he's feared, batters are not looking forward to seeing him. Got some nasty stuff coming from the left side as well. And Miranda's just like, doesn't matter. I'm hot. We're going home. And that was just awesome to see. How about the walk-off winners that the Twins have had? They've suffered some walk-off defeats.
That's true.
But they've had their fair share of walk-off winners as well. I think the stat line was something like 5 that they've had
already?
this season. Yeah,
wow.
It's remarkable seeing that, they just have something in them late in games where they're just like, you know what? Let's go home, boys. We're going to pack this up. Let's get out of here.
Who wants to be the hero tonight? Anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody? You?
And it's so exciting when they do it because they just get so juiced.
I know.
I remember when Buxton did it the last time, I thought that he was about to tear something. How he was just, he's just getting after it.
Thought his head was about to pop off his body and roll over to second base by the time he was rounding the bases.
How exciting is that, though? How cool is that, especially for fans to see something like that? Like, this is my team. This is a team that I care about, I'm invested in, and this is how excited they are about the game. It just makes it more palpable throughout the ballpark.
Should have put a few bucks down, man. I told you it was a lock. If only we would have had Dave. Tight on Cash. Dave is a banking app that can help you get $500 instantly. Download the Dave app. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get $500 instantly. Terms and conditions. Go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Member FDIC. Yeah, Twins win. Guardians lose to the White Sox. They keep beating each other up. Twins lead in the division now 4.5 over Cleveland, 5 over Chicago. Reggie, yesterday we talked about the most surprising thing we've seen from the offense in the first half of this season. Today I want to know what you think has been the most surprising thing about the pitching thus far in 2022. Could be a wild, crazy stat, a specific player, anything.
I think the most surprising thing is that they're in it. I was talking to one of my guys this morning, and he's from Kansas City, well, from the area. And he was talking about how the hype was supposed to be so real for the Royals this season. And he was just like, man, the pitching was just terrible to start the year. And that just kind of set the tone for how bad this Royals team is. And, we saw 10 players not being able to make the trip to Toronto to play the Blue Jays because of, vaccination reasons. And I'm just like, man, how did that team, because Whit Merrifield was like, look, if we were better, I'd be vaccinated. It wouldn't be a problem. And it's just like, how did that team get there?
Yeah.
And you look at that team and you're like, man, like the Twins could have been that, like the bats, you didn't necessarily have too much of a problem with, but like I think if there was one thing that Twins fans were like, I don't know, like they were just like clenched butt cheeks, it was about the pitching. Because they traded for Sonny. They were hoping Joe Ryan was gonna come into his own, which after yesterday's performance, it looks like he's teetering back to the Joe Ryan that we have seen and that we've come to appreciate, especially from the start of the season. And you're just like, okay, like if this pitching can do what it needs to do, they signed Chris Archer, they took a flyer on him, took a flyer on Dylan Bundy, and you're just like, man, like we've seen all of these guys pitch well, but we haven't seen all of these guys pitch well recently. Archer has been not the best over the last few seasons, and the injury history. Dylan Bundy just kind of been a guy, and you're just like, okay, and then we're going to try to put them together with some of this young pitching staff, guys like Smeltzer and Winder. I think those are guys that they give you some production that maybe you don't think that they're going to. I know Winder's kind of had a little bit of a tough go recently, but he's given them some good starts this season. Devin Smeltzer has had a little bit of a rough go recently as well, but he's given them some good starts, like a lot this season. And so I think when you ask me like what's the most surprising part about the pitching staff, I think it's the fact that they are keeping the Twins in it, one, and two, they are especially from a starting pitching standpoint, they are helping the Twins kind of get over that hump and get out to this lead that they have in the division. And they're holding on for dear life, barring, any bad pitching performances back to back. But as long as they continue to be consistent as they've been, I think this Twins team can do some damage. I do think that they still need to get some arms for that bullpen, but you come into a series and you ask me, okay, we're going to go out there the first 3 games. We're going to give you Ryan, Gray, maybe
Bundy?
Smeltzer.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. Like
Archer?
I think you would believe in the bats enough to give those guys the type of run support that you're like, okay, I think they're going to be in every game. And, maybe one of those other games, like Smeltzer or something like that, you think like, hey, if the bats get hot, maybe we can steal one. and now we're looking at trying to gain an advantage in this series. I know it's a long ways away, like the playoffs are still months away, but I think that's kind of the mindset that you take in with how the pitching has been this season. It's like, look, just give us a chance and let the bats, do what the bats are capable of, and maybe they have a chance to win their first playoff series in 17,000 years.
They've dipped down for sure and started to come back down to earth a little bit as of late, the starters, that is. They ranked
and
just
I think
26.
That's something you're scared of.
I know. It's okay if one guy starts to dip, like Joe Ryan, as long as everybody else is still staying on the same pace. But when multiple guys start to falter a little bit or come back down to earth, then you get worried. They ranked just 26 in the MLB in quality starts with 22, but 12th in the league in batting average allowed with 237, and top 10 in the league in both ERA and WHIP. Fans, again, just hoping they can keep this up for an entire season. Seeing Joe Ryan with his first great outing in weeks was certainly a good sign for that. As you mentioned, he goes 5 innings, allows just 1 run. Relievers come in, do the rest. Final series is set before the All-Star break. Twins get 4 more in a row at home versus the White Sox starting tonight. First pitch, 6:40 p.m. Clear skies in the forecast with Sonny Gray on the mound.
Thank you, Belinda.
Rest assured, Reggie and I got you covered tomorrow to break it all down. All right, time has come. Favorite segments here. Putting Reggie on the hot seat, covering all the latest hot topics in Minnesota sports. First up, the rumors are swirling. Pro Bowl defensive tackle and Super Bowl winner Ndamukong Such has his team wish list down to 2. Those teams are the Las Vegas Raiders and your Minnesota Vikings. What does it mean for the potential landing spot of Such in purple, and what would the addition do for Ed Donatell's defensive outlook?
Now, look, I don't think Such is the Such that we all have come to just fear, maybe from 5-6 years ago. But I do think that he's still a productive player and a championship level player that can add some good depth to this defense. You look at kind of like the inside guys and you think Harrison Phillips on the interior, but when you start looking at those defensive ends in that 3-4 front, you can plug Such in there as a rotational guy, and they can really think of a defense that has Phillips, Such, za'darius, and Hunter all coming after the quarterback. I'm scared. If I'm a quarterback, I'm just like, oh my gosh, give me a 3-step drop. As soon as that back foot taps on the ground, I'm out. Route. That's it. It's like, man, why does he keep throwing these 6, 7, 8-yard routes? Do you see who's rushing me? That's what's going on here. I'm not holding up 5-step drop, coach. I'm not doing it. 7-step drop, I'm not doing it. I don't think, like I said, he's a guy that instills the fear that he did before, but I do think that he is still a guy that can help this team. And when you think about the Vikings team, we talk about the offense, and that's all we hammer, the offense. And it's just like, we get it. Offensive head coach comes in. That's pretty much what the identity of this team is going to be. But when you talk about complementary football and you look at the pieces that the defense has assembled, I think you add a piece like Ndamukong Such. I think this article says the Vikings haven't had an interior lineman record 6 sacks in a season since Tom Johnson had 6.5 in 2014. That's a while,
Great
man.
Stat. Wow.
It's been a
nice
while.
Name drop.
It's been a while. And so, look, Such hasn't been to a Pro Bowl since 2016, and he's only managed 6 sacks, last season. But if you add those 6 sacks in with the production that the other guys are slated to have, when you talk about a healthy za'darius, a healthy Hunter, and you got Harrison Phillips clogging up the lane in the inside, drawing 2 defenders, that's kind of scary, man, when you think about it. And we've seen some of these wily veterans even do better, as they kind of get older, because they just figure out a way to be a little bit more crafty. And so I look at a signing like Sue as a plus for this team. And, if I'm Kwesi, I'm on the phone with the agent like, look, what do we got to do? We got to put some extra Juicy Lucy's up in there? Like, what do we want? You want some Hot Pockets? Like, you want us to, buy the house for you to stay in? Like, put you up at the Wilf's lair? Like, how do you want to do this? Because that would be a piece that really, really helps anchor that defense.
Yeah, if they do indeed sign him, don't get it twisted, don't get it confused. This isn't like Brett Favre in 2009, pushing the chips all in, Super Bowl or bust, but it would be a big indicator and tell you just where the front office's mindset is as far as how competitive they think they can be this year and what their expectations are. Because you go sign a big name like this, granted, probably a 1 or 2 year deal at most, but it tells you that they expect to be very competitive this year when you go bring in a big name. We talk about it all the time. What are the biggest question marks at the 22 starter spots? Center, right guard, and the only real other one, that third defensive lineman spot. Now, we have Armon Watts penciled in, but who knows? It could be James Lynch. It could be a rookie that comes in there. It could be they sent Jonathan Bullard. It could be, DJ Wanham. Maybe they like him better, hand in the dirt. We don't know.
Yeah.
But bringing him in would definitely be that complementary piece that you talked about, that not so much about what he does statistically in the box score the next morning looking at the paper, but what he does for his teammates around him, opening up lanes, like you said, pass rushing lanes for za'darius and Daniil, making life a little bit easier on guys like Harrison Phillips and Dalvin Tomlinson, and just the flexibility now. You got 3 different guys then on the line that any one of them, Phillips, Tomlinson, or Sue, could play the nose or could play the end spots. And just having that flexibility, that versatility would be awfully nice to have. And I know, like you said, he's not the same Sue. He's not the number 2 overall pick coming out of Nebraska 12 years ago, whatever it may be. What he did during the Bucs Super Bowl run and during those last 6-7 weeks, their run defense was phenomenal when you paired him up with Vita Vea, and then in the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. He was a key piece of that defense when you get in those critical 3rd and 1 situations and you got A.J. Dillon bullying his way forward. You need a guy like Sue who knows what he's doing and can body some guys up front too. They replaced Sue in Tampa with Akeem Hicks. Kind of similar situation. You got an aging vet, not what they used to be, but still can be a pretty key piece in certain different packages and down and distance. Something that I'm for sure going to keep my eye on because that's an interesting one. All right, that's a wrap. Back here tomorrow, breaking down more Twins, Vikes, plenty more. Remember, like, rate, review, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Join us every day for another episode covering all the biggest topics in Minnesota sports. He's Reggie Wilson. Follow him on Twitter at ReggieWilsonTV and on KARE11. I'm Luke Inman on Twitter at Luke_Spinman. Tune in tomorrow to Superior Sports Talk, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota. For Reggie, I'm Luke. Until tomorrow, signing out.
Be blessed. Spread love today.
This is Superior Sports Talk with Reggie Wilson and Luke Inman, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota.